Yo, minasan, Ninja Eddie here with another game review. Today I'm gonna be... What was that? You have to review Back to the Future. No way, estás loco. I'm not reviewing that game. That's a terrible game. No, I mean Super Back to the Future 2 by the Super Famicom. Oh, okay. I didn't know that game existed. Let's check it out. Super Back to the Future 2 is a single-player game that was only released in Japan on the Super Famicom on July 23, 1993. It was published by Toshiba EMI and developed by Daft, who are mostly known to have done fighting games. On the start menu, you get a taste of the awesome Back to the Future theme along with 3 options. After pressing Game Start, you can do a tutorial to learn how to play because the game, it takes time to get used to the controls. One thing I do love about this game is that it shows some of the epic cutscenes from Back to the Future 2. After pressing start, you're immediately brought to this screen where it is the end of Back to the Future 1 where Doc tells Marty that they need to go to the year 2015 to save their kids from disaster. Then they head off to Hill Valley on October 21st, 2015 and you get an awesome cutscene of the DeLorean taking off. And that is where our game begins. You find yourself in the middle of Hill Valley trying to get to Cafe 80s to stop your son from making the biggest mistake of his life. You're on your hoverboard for the entire game. The controls are very simple. A is to jump, B like Super Mario is to go faster when you use the control D-pad. That is pretty much it. This is a platformer game. To kill your enemies, you need to jump on them. You also get a health bar where you can only take 3 hits. Another thing I do love about this game is the game does its best to stick to the movie. They show some of the most epic cutscenes from Back to the Future 2. And some of the bosses are enemies from the movie as well. You have scenes from the clock tower where Marty sends Griff crashing into the windows, to seeing the old Biff stealing the DeLorean to change the past into an alternative future. You also see how 1985 was changed when Marty comes across the Pleasure Paradise Hotel. Then you get the scene where Marty comes across Biff Tan's museum. What? Biff Tan's museum? That's a typo no one caught during the editing of this game. Doesn't really matter, it's all in the past. You then see Marty's mom with an overinflated boob job that, to my knowledge, I don't remember them being this big in the movie. But that's besides the point. Anyhow, like the movie, she tells Marty that his dad has been at Oak Park Cemetery all these years. We get the cutscene where Marty finds his father's grave and Doc tells them that they need to find when, where, and how Biff got the sports almanac so they can change the 1985 back to normal instead of being in the alternate 1985 where everything was skewed. Like the movie, Marty goes off to find Biff and get answers. You end up fighting Biff on top of his hotel, and he's actually very easy to beat, which is a big disappointment, but we will talk about that later. Continuing with the story, we get the vital information that we need to return to November 5th, 1955, and get the sports almanac that was given to young Biff. Then we get the cutscene when Marty finally gets his hands on the almanac, but it turns out to be the Ooh La La magazine. He then messages Doc to let him know he doesn't have the almanac. Like the movie, Marty remembers that his father knocks out Biff and immediately capitalizes on the situation and gets the almanac back. Then you lose the sports almanac again, but the game doesn't really explain how you lost it in the first place. They assume you should have watched the movie in order to know that he lost it during the door scene where he gets hit in the face. Anyhow, you fight young Biff again as he's driving away, where he's throwing garbage all over, and as usual, he's very easy to beat. After you beat him, like the movie, he chases you in his car in the tunnel, where you escape before being run over by his car as you fly away and he crashes into the truck full of manure. These are some of the things I love about this game. Wait a minute! Who are you? I'm your grandson. Hola, abuelito. How? How is time travel possible? I was standing on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, I hit my head, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a vision, a picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor. Really? Yeah, muri desho. Nihongo wa hanashimasu ka? Hi, y hablo español también. Why are you here? I wanted to come see you. I wanted you to review this game. You know, I miss you. Do you have any food in the fridge? Yeah, the fridge is over there. I guess he is my grandson. Anyhow, let's talk about some of the flaws of the game. For starters, I find that all boss levels are just too easy. Generally in a video game, as you progress, the levels begin to get harder. This is true in Super Back to the Future too. Some levels get really challenging, where you need to bounce off objects in order to reach the top. But when it comes to fighting the boss, the levels are just too easy. When you fight Griff in level 1, he's just as easy as Biff in the final level. And if you play this game, you'll see how easy it is. I'm not saying that they should have made it extremely difficult like Back to the Future 1 for the NES, but they should have made each boss gradually much harder than the last. Another complaint is the game is just obscure. For example, they have unnecessary levels that shouldn't even exist. The only reason they had some levels was because they needed to extend the length of the game. The Oak Park Cemetery level shouldn't exist. In the movie, as soon as Marty is told where his father is, you immediately cut to him looking at his tombstone, but in the game it's a different story. You will find yourself going through this annoying stage, wishing you just show the cutscene where Marty immediately finds the grave instead of going through all this mess. To make matters worse, when you finally find the grave, you have to go back the way you came to get answers from Biff. That's right, you had to do all this mess all over again. Another complaint about the obscurity about the game are these two bosses. I have no idea who they are, where they came from, or how they related to the movie. Are they in the movie is the real question. You have a musician that plays a mean trumpet, which you kill by stomping or dropping bowling balls on. I guess he is the musician that wasn't good enough to be in Marty's band. Who knows? Who cares? You also have a ringmaster from a circus with his bodyguard that you stomp and must keep separated to be able to cause damage. I have no clue who they are either. Maybe I forgot the movie. I haven't seen the movie in such a long time. So if you remember these bosses from the movie, please let me know in the comment section, because I'm very curious to know who they are. In conclusion, is the game perfect? No, it's not. But is it a good game? Absolutely it is. I definitely recommend everyone to try this game out, especially if you're a huge fan of the movie franchise. What makes this game special? For me, the cutscene and the nostalgia behind the movie. The biggest reward is to see the cutscenes. That is what makes the game very special. It makes me want to continue to play. I kept playing because I wanted to see all the cutscenes. Even though I know from the movie, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to see them because it's an awesome movie. So if you get a chance to get your hands on this, please try it out. It's totally worth it. Can you answer some questions before you go? Can you tell me anything? I can't tell you about your future. It's better not to know too much about your future. Never give up on your dreams. Si tú quieres, tú puedes. That's what Mom always said. That's what Mom always said. Hey, this is my hat. What's this?